It's my understanding that there is a war going on right now. Am I right in this?
Well, actually, there are two wars right now.
Two wars? We're in the midst of two wars all at once. Now, the United States of America is engaged in both of these wars?
Yes, they are.
And are either of these wars happening on U.S. Soil?
Excuse me.
What is your job in the war?
That, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly how CNN is handling Donald Trump's victory last night. They're not handling it well. I am on 3 hours of sleep. I'm extremely tired. I woke up and I did the Tom Woods show. So if you want my full thoughts on everything, go check out Tom Woods show. I'm going to try and be as quiet as possible because I've got three absolute savages with me. Co-host of Part of the Problem, host of Run Your Mouth podcast, and the proud creator of a great new stand-up special, Robbie the Fire Bernstein. Then we've also got bunch of, I think they're taking the Sam Tripoli approach to podcasting. They put out 1,500 hours per week of podcasts. If you're not familiar, they do Nephilim Death Squad, Timeline Cleanse, all sorts of stuff. We got Raven and Top. What's up, guys?
What's going on? I'm very happy to be here with you guys on the beginning of the end for all women. Looking forward to it.
We just deported Rachel Maddow this morning. I've heard that Mark Cuban has been put in Guantanamo. Everything's going well. I feel like this is exactly what Donald Trump and Project 2025 promised us. So we're off to a good start. I hope that we can ultimately turn women into our permanent sex slave concubines, as Project 25 has also promised us.
Was that in Project 2025?
Yeah, it is. It's on page 745.
I can't believe that thing was overlooked because I would have voted 3 times for Trump.
You too.
I would have personally brought Mexicans over the border and escorted them to the voting polls for multiple votes for Trump.
Let me just clarify to YouTube. I am joking. Relax. Anyways, I just want to get your kind of initial assessment. I'll go with Robbie first. I don't ever know that I heard you say that you were gonna vote or not. Did you end up doing it, or did you refrain? No, you didn't do it. All right.
No, but I was earlier on the let's get behind Trump train than anybody else. People like to overlook my genius quite a bit. I called it all the way at the beginning of the election cycle that he was winning this one. Before Donald Trump spoke at the Libertarian National Convention, I said that we should give up on running a candidate. We should endorse Donald Trump, and I wrote 10 things that we should have Donald Trump commit to. Dave Smith was not into that idea at the time, but that was before we found the gayest candidate in the history of United States of elections. So listen, I'm still to this day, I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump as government spending is one of my biggest issues, but I fully understood the risk of having another 4 years of these Democrats pushing green energy, ESG, and all the other nonsense that we hate. I certainly don't like tech censorship, so I fully understand wanting to keep your Bitcoin, being able to run your mouth online, and getting behind Donald Trump in this election cycle. What I'm most looking forward to, or here's like my biggest thing that I think we're going to see, which is going to be an improvement. The first time Donald Trump got elected, we saw a temper tantrum from the news outlet that then got people to hate Donald Trump, not even because they disliked Donald Trump, just because politics became so much a part of their lives where they had to listen to the people on the left throwing a temper tantrum, and they gave in to the left, and they were like, all right, we'll get rid of the guy. Just quit having a temper tantrum. And then they put in Joe Biden, who was he wasn't there. They got a guy with dementia saying that they were going to renormalize politics. They were going to put the adults back in the room, and we had the worst 4 years. They were not. We've got multiple wars. I don't think people like them. I think people feel alarmed about what's going on out in the Ukraines. I don't think people like the inflation. And Donald Trump came back around because Kamala Harris was the only person dumber than Joe Biden. The party that was trying to claim, hey, we're the adults, we're going to bring you normalcy, actually put her up and tried to pretend like she was, intelligence greater than tops. And so it fell apart. And I don't think that they're going to be able to temper tantrum again. I think that the left and the news organizations have lost so much credibility that any of this, hey, Donald Trump's a demon, it's the end of our democracy, any of that horseshit that we've had to hear for years, I think that's actually the dial on the nonsense is going to be reduced. And so I now look forward to seeing what Donald Trump actually does.
the episode right before the election of Liberty Lockdown, solo episode, I said this party is the party of the boy who cried wolf. Like, you can't go any more hyperbolic, over the top than they've done to Donald Trump. And even with that, just pulling out all the stops, fascists, Mussolini, Hitler, Stalin. Well, they don't say Stalin because they like him, but you know what I'm saying. They threw the entire kitchen sink, and the American people were like, "Yeah, we want that. We want that back." I mean, it really is profound. By the way, I got to show this just because it's too funny. This is the current national totals, and as you can see, Chase Oliver. Which, by the way, I did an entire hour of Tom Woods show. We didn't even bring up his name. That's how irrelevant he was.
Why would you?
I know, but I just got to point this out because it's wild. Robert Kennedy Jr., who dropped out, beat him.
He literally said, "Don't vote for me."
Don't vote for me.
Jill
I'm not actually
Stein,
running. Don't vote for me.
Jill Stein and the Green Party won over him quite easily. Yeah, look. The Libertarians, I really have actually gone out of my way not to talk about the Libertarian Party candidate over the past 6 months, just simply because I didn't want it to look like what's it called, spoiled grapes or whatever they say. Like that really wasn't my issue. Like, I did not want to run. I'm grateful to have not ran. I just want to point out real quick that this is what the delegates wanted. They wanted a candidate that appeals to basically like woke people and Democrats and Black Lives Matter, protesters or whatever. Like, you got what you wanted. This is the result. You can hate me. You can think that I'm some racist, radical, whatever you feel about me. You need to look in the mirror and realize that this is not a message that resonates with the American people. That's just obviously true. Jill fucking Stein and RFK Jr., who was not even running anymore, beat him. That is a catastrophe. They have to own that. They have to reflect on that. And if they refuse to, if they just want to go, the Mises guy, you sabotage him. I didn't say a fucking word about this guy for 6 months. I said nothing. I did not sabotage anything. He was invited on Part of the Problem with Dave Smith. He was invited on Timcast. He said no. You got exactly what you deserved. I make no apologies for it. Eat it.
Well, he would have had the Kamala Harris effect on Joe Rogan. So I was on Tinfoil Hat last night, and I'm talking with Sam Tripoli and Johnny Woodard. Johnny Woodard's a libertarian. He's like he was in the Ron Paul campaign in like 2008 and stuff, so he knows about this stuff, but he's more Republican because that's how you had to be at the time. And I was like, who are you guys going to vote for? Because Sam was like, I got to wrap it up in a minute. I'm going to go vote. And I was like, well, who are you voting for? Like, I'm putting you on the spot now. There's 10,000 people watching. What are you going to do? He's like, I don't know. Maybe I'll vote for like a third party or something like that. And Johnny Woodard said the same thing. He's like, I think I'll just vote like I always vote the Libertarian candidate. And I was like, absolutely not. I was like, stop the show. Don't vote for this guy. And they're like, well, why? Who is it? And so I just broke it down. I'm like, this guy, Chase Oliver. I was like, if you don't know who he is, he has like tweets and Facebook posts that say, I directly oppose everything Ron Paul stands for. So now that this is actually a stunning metric, he has estranged not only the Libertarian vote, but the only votes that he got were people that don't know what he's about. They just voted like they're like, I'll vote Libertarian because I kind of think they're for freedom. If they had a chance to know what this guy was about, he would have gotten even less votes.
Dude, 0.4%, 0.4% is as badly as you can do. I mean, that is literally just people going, I don't want to vote for either of these parties. I'd rather not stay home. So here, like that's all it was. It was a catastrophe. Sorry, Raven.
No, I wanted to say, am I wrong though in hearing that this guy supported the idea of transitioning children? Isn't that one of the things that he
now he can go
tweet?
As long as the doctor
back to
agrees.
His core mission of doing that.
Right. And that's so getting this guy as your candidate was a failure to recognize like the cultural pendulum swinging, right? Because the writing's been on the wall for a long time, and it was very clear that everybody was getting fed up with this sort of thing. So
the way it happened though, it's like it wasn't. I'll carry some water for the Libertarians as a whole. The way it seemed to me was there was a backroom deal at the very end, and they do this stupid like choice rank voting. So they went to like round after round after round of voting, and people just had to leave. So people were filtering out of this this convention center, and the cop, his vice president, pulled his votes over, which gave it enough to beat the ex-communist Mike, what's his name, Rechtenwald or whoever this guy is.
Yeah.
The whole thing was a disaster, and honestly, it's Dave Smith's fault. But I'm glad Dave didn't run because I said, I tweeted here and I got a couple hundred likes, but I said he would have taken a couple million votes from Trump if he would have won, and that would have made things very strange in swing states. It could have swung the election, but instead, Chase Oliver took about 300 votes from Kamala Harris. So
I'm telling you, a Dave Smith Clint Russell ticket would have fucked up the whole country.
It would have fucked everything up. It would have
been a real problem.
I would have.
Yeah, I would have voted for me too. I would have had to, but like, Jesus Christ, it would have put us in a really weird circumstance. But yeah, I just really want the libertarians to think about this. I just really want them to think, like the delegates. I know 80% of the libertarians in this country are totally Ron Paulian. They're fond of me. I love them. Like, we're all good. I'm just saying, the delegates, the actual people that like are the power brokers within the Libertarian Party, you guys are not. You are not in alignment with the broader libertarian movement. I just want you to understand that you're not in alignment with the broader American people movement. And I hope they reflect. I really do. But at the end of the day, here's the truth. I'm glad that Donald Trump won. I think that it was vitally important that there was a repudiation against the current establishment, the people that tried to mandate medical treatments, to put it nicely, the people that obviously Trump played a part in all of this. So I'm not going to excuse his participation in 2020. I've written a book on it practically. Like, I understand every criticism you can levy against Donald Trump. I can make the argument against Donald Trump better than all of the people that want to debate me about it. So just spare me. But it's really important that after they've spent 8 years with this hyperbolic boy you cried wolf nonsense, that the American people just say, you know what? We don't listen to you anymore. We don't believe you anymore. We're like, you're irrelevant to us. And I think I made this point, so I'll shut up. But on Tom Woods' show, it is so profound, so deeply profound, that you can win the highest seat of power in the nation, if not the world, by doing podcasts with stand-up comics. Like, think about how crazy that is. Anyways, I'll let you guys.
I mean, I suspected he had it in the bag for a while, but that endorsement from Rogan at the last minute doing that show with Elon Musk, I knew that was kind of the nail in the coffin. But I'm excited, man, to wake up today, like I said at the top of the show, at the dawn of the beginning of the end for all women. It's an exciting time to be alive. It really is. And I'm looking forward, as much as I'm looking forward to the pendulum swinging politically, I'm really looking forward to the cultural pendulum swinging, because we've been immersed in this sort of like immoral, debased culture for a long time now. And I think the first thing I saw this morning when I woke up, which really tickled me, was there's already compilations going around. I don't know if you guys have seen this on the internet.
I sent you one, Clint.
Yeah, of people screaming and crying, and, you know, just like the good old days when he first got elected and that lady broke down to her knees. And as somebody who's in the comedy space and the conspiracy space, this is great. This is going to be another, 4 years of great content being made. So I'm looking forward to it.
I don't think we're going to have 4 years of temper tantrum, but I got to watch a little bit of CNN last night. I don't have cable. I guess on YouTube at some point, someone from India was putting up the stream of CNN.
What was the overall mood?
Well, that was the thing. Every time the information was coming in, watching their souls just leave their face, and how disturbed they were to get this information, and that they had lied so diligently and told you that Kamala Harris was going to win, and that Donald Trump's an evil dictator and nobody could possibly support him and our democracy will be over. And then hearing, well, all of your Puerto Rican people you said would be offended just voted for him. Oh, he just won over the Latin Americans. Oh, look, the uneducated, actual working people who have a job to do, they just turned. Oh, the college-educated women, looks like they're going from too, and they just had to sit there. And so I'm loving watching these people take an L, and I'm also loving what the new landscape is, which is go have a temper tantrum. You already did that, and you lost, and nobody cares, and you can dial it up to 11,000 at this point and tell me, like what your joke of, oh, it's going to be over for women. It clearly won't be. So, let these people scream and shout for the next 3 months. I don't think that they have 4 years of it in them. I actually think we're going to revert to a more normal place.
Here, 30 seconds of CNN with Van Jones.
Let's be honest about this, okay? Let's be absolutely blunt about it. There were appeals to racism in this campaign, and there is racial bias in this country, and there is sexism in this country. And anybody who thinks that did not in any way impact on the outcome of this race is wrong.
Can you imagine a woman of color acting like Donald Trump acted, even for one day? The kinds of stuff that he said, the kinds of things that he did, the way that he would insult people.
These guys act like we don't have.
If you're a person of color, you don't feel you have that freedom. You feel like you really are somewhat constrained. You're always running something in the back of your mind, like, how am I going to be perceived? And also, if I say this, will they think that all black people are this way or all women are this way? So there's a license that he had to just be a fool, just to be an obnoxious ass to everyone. And
Can you pause it for a second?
He can still be president.
It's frustrating, isn't it?
It's not frustrating. It's Satanism. It's the exact inversion of,
it's
what. It's the exact opposite of what's happening. Yeah, like he has license to be a fool. Every time I see a video, every time I'm IRL around people of color, this is like that's what he's describing right now. It's tremendous to see because it's like a slap in the face.
When he's going off, right, he's got this kind of rhetoric that everybody's willing to accept. This is what really was strange over the past 4 years is you could say something vague and amorphous like, he's such a bad guy. He says terrible things. Who could align themselves with a man who believes what he believes or does what he does? And it's like, all right, let's unpack that. What does he do? What does he believe? What does he say? And it's like they never want to – there's a never-ending supply of that kind of a clip out there. I watched one yesterday where they go – to a girl who's at the polls, and she goes, "This is the first time I'm voting," and they go, "Congratulations." You know, what is it that's really meaningful to you? Well, I don't like Trump because he's against women, and I think that reproductive rights are really important. And it's like, okay, well, what do you mean by that? Do you want to unpack that a little bit? She literally goes, "No, I'd rather not." And that's it. Nobody actually has any information to back. They just say things that are kind of the accepted narrative, you know, that's presented by whatever Mockingbird Media. Oh, my reproductive rights, whatever it is.
Well, because here's the truth. Aside from the abortion issue, which, by the way, actually, no, not even aside from, every single position that Donald Trump holds is a position that a 1991 Democrat held. Every single one. They were fine with Roe versus Wade being repealed because they were like, states' rights. That's no big deal. Like, we're okay if California and New York, as long as we're all able to get our abortions up until 9 months, no big deal. By the way, abortion used to be like, hey, let's make sure it's rare. Like, that's what Democrats said. Okay? So the fact that you guys have lost your fucking minds and you want to have abortions like as the kid's coming out of a woman's uterus, that's you that's gone crazy. Not Donald Trump, not the American people.
That's because the fire department bins go directly to Nancy Pelosi. So, you know, they're trying to keep as many orphans available as possible.
Yeah.
But I mean,
the more baby blood you drink, the more you need, it turns out.
Aside from the spending. Oh, go ahead, Top.
Yeah, because all right. Trump does win in a landslide in the Electoral College. It looks like Michigan and Michigan, Nevada, and Arizona still uncold, but he's won. But the vote totals here is 71,800,000 for Trump and 66,900,000. That's a lot of people. 66 million people is a lot of people.
Didn't she do markedly
Robbie,
worse than Biden?
Yeah, she did worse. But with Biden,
the corpses didn't show up this time.
Exactly. Because of the COVID era and all this mail-in voting, we'll stay safe on YouTube. It was a very different election than what we got this time. You know, that was 2020 was something that hopefully we'll never see again because things were just off the rails. But the fact that this many people are still out there, I don't know why they're voting. If they vote because they hate Trump or they're voting because they really like Kamala. This is an issue. Like, what do you do with those people?
Just to demonstrate how much worse she did than Biden. Check this out.
So you asked, are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming 2020.
Holy smokes.
There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally not one county?
Today I want to tell you about our sponsor, Monetary Metals. Gold prices have been breaking all-time highs in 2024, and now you can get your gold to work for you, generating interest income every month paid in additional ounces of physical gold. You can earn up to 5% on your gold and silver in their lease offerings, and accredited investors can earn double-digit returns in their bond offerings. Again, all the interest is paid in ounces, which are stored for free on your behalf. So if you're tired of your gold and silver collecting dust at home, or worse, racking up fees having your metal professionally stored, check out monetary-metals.com/lockdown. to learn how you can start putting your metal to work today. Again, that's monetary-metals.com/lockdown. I mean, of all the things I saw yesterday, that is probably the highlight. He's just
thought
like,
it was broken. He's like,
he's
is there
like,
something
he's
wrong?
like, tech guy, we're going to need to get somebody in here to fix the board. It's obviously malfunctioning. No, nowhere. Not a single county in America liked Kamala Harris more than Joe Biden. That is profound.
Right.
You know what I found really interesting about watching the guys when they're working the boards? And I didn't watch that many clips of it. First is, half of it is nonsense where they're talking like cattle auctioneers and they just keep stating random facts that mean nothing just to keep it. Oh, we're over here in the red and we zoom in and then you see there's even more people here. And if we looked at the county over here from last year, it's like they're just stating so much information that it's all nonsense. But at the same time, there is an appreciation for like data, and not just data, but like I don't know. It's like they actually do have the ability to, I guess, accumulate data and do good coverage of stuff. And it's like on every other topic, other than election night, they just kind of choose not to.
Right.
That is true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like on every topic, we could be kind of amassing data and doing more of like an analytical look through an information. But just for every other topic, we just prefer to do what you had mentioned of Van Jones just going, well, he's not a nice guy.
Yeah. It stuns me too. Like they'll call a state with 14% of the votes in and they'll be like, well, we can extrapolate and know exactly how this is going to go. So we're going to call it for Trump. And it's like, what do you mean? Like you can do that, but with like, if I ask you what a woman is, you're like, oh dude, that's a hard question.
It's actually very nuanced.
Well, what's so frustrating to me is like, yeah, these people aren't that dumb. Like they're actually capable of doing things. Like for instance, they identify very readily that Donald Trump's proposal to utilize tariffs would amount to essentially a national sales tax because the taxes would be passed on to the consumer. Hey, why can't you extrapolate with every other tax? Every other tax does the same thing. If you tax a corporation, they pass it on to the consumer. If you tax, that's how taxes work. But only when their opposition tries to float a tax idea do they finally understand that taxes have deleterious consequences for the American people. It is so infuriating, and I just don't know how your average CNN viewer doesn't go, hey, yeah, the income tax probably does the same thing. Like, no, they never even think that far. It's crazy.
Is it wrong? I mean, I know I'm sort of a schizo conspiracy theorist. Am I stretching then when I say that it's clearly not about, they have the capabilities to do that sort of analytic and you know, have that be beneficial to the population at large, but instead most of their resources are dumped into like what Robbie just highlighted. It's like you're stating these droning facts that kind of, they're disjointed and there's so much coming at you it means nothing. It's really just kind of like a hypnotic thing for the audience that's watching. And to Top's point, this, you know, however many 66 million people that are still voting this way, I think all of their efforts are funneled into kind of hypnotizing this massive segment of the population that simply will never wake up and just goes through the motions. I mean, I guess you might want to call them an NPC. It's like they can do all these things. They can accumulate data. They can use it for the good of the West, but they're busy hypnotizing people.
Yeah, well, I do want to go back to Top's point that 66 million people still voted for Kamala Harris, and that's not everybody. They're not done yet. Like she'll probably end up with 68, 69, 70 million maybe.
It's a lot of people.
It's a huge amount of people. Like we're talking about basically half of the voting population is still a total NPC. Like, and I'm not saying that like because you voted for Trump, you're not an NPC. There are tens of millions of people that voted for Trump that are an NPC too. Okay, let me be very clear about that. But if you are voting for Kamala Harris, all of you are NPCs. None of you are thinking for yourselves. Literally none of them. That's scary.
They got to show you something. And with Kamala Harris, I mean, I would even say with Joe Biden, they showed people absolutely nothing. This guy stumbled out there. He didn't even campaign. At least she campaigned. But there was no policy. There was no convincing rhetoric. She's not likable on any level. And maybe that's just my bias. But when I look at her, I'm like, just too many teeth. I don't know, something about her. And people still vote. And I'm like, it's stunning. And to the
amount of teeth in someone's faces should be the core reason people vote.
I think so.
Yes.
I think
too many teeth. Not enough teeth.
Yeah. The thing is, though, if you actually were to poll Democrats, I'm sure it's a perfect bell curve, and maybe 20% of them actually liked and were excited about Kamala Harris. And those are probably your core group of completely brainwashed morons. And then you go down and you get the next 20% who are like, I'm okay with that. And you know why they were okay with it? It's because they kind of like the progressive agenda. They put in front of you a ambiguously racial person of unknown origin, who they say is competent and female, and they go, oh, all right, well, the left found a competent person, and so it ticks those boxes. And then as you continue to shift over, you've got at least 50% of those voters just don't like Donald Trump. And I understand, and some of those people, by the way, are just the, my mom falls into this category, but I understand it. I call the people that just don't like Donald Trump, they want a more wholesome rapist, where they understand that the president is evil, that he's doing terrible things. And yes, he's raping us, but at least I like a guy who pretends like he didn't do that and he buys some flowers. They like a more wholesome rapist. They understand. Yeah. Now, with that said, if you're like my mom, nice little religious Jewish lady, she doesn't like the rhetoric of Donald Trump, and she doesn't like the way the world kind of changed to everyone having a bunch of potty mouths. I don't think she voted for Kamala Harris. But I understand that. The same way that I'm like, I just want to be able to say stupid shit online, and that's a core value to me. My mom's on the other side of that, which is I want less retards like my son saying horrible shit on the internet. Right. So the point I'm trying to make is the 66 million people that voted for Kamala Harris, of that grouping, 15 million of them were actually excited about her. The next 15 million are just a little bit more progressive, and the rest felt they were stuck with her because they just really don't like Donald Trump, and we could all understand why people wouldn't like him.
No, totally. And yeah, to be clear, I'm not saying that you're like, if you didn't support Trump, you're an NPC. Like, there are a lot of people that didn't vote and also that refused to vote for Trump that I completely agree with. I think it was a totally reasonable stance to take, and I will never criticize you. But if you actually cast a ballot for Kamala Harris, I genuinely think that there's something wrong with you. Like, I don't think that you're actually thinking for yourself at all. Well, I think you need intervention, honestly.
Yeah, and it was an endorsement of, I guess, the news system at large. If you were just
kind of opting in for the norm.
And that's indicative of NPC-ness. Like, if you are still watching and taking at face value anything on the corporate news, like, you are clearly not capable of critical thought, because these people have lied to you egregiously, provably, for decades. And if you're still turning it on and going, let's hear what is actually happening in the world today, I can't help you anymore. Like, you are so far gone. It's crazy. By the way, I got to make this point because it's really profound. They ran Hillary Clinton in 2016 on this was the height of the woke agenda, right? This is going to be the first female president. This is everything. It didn't work.
And she wasn't even female.
Oh, well, true. But
she wasn't even human.
That's actually really true. But it didn't work. This go around, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I pay attention to this stuff way too closely because it's my job now. They did not really go hard on first black woman president. Like, they kind of shelved that.
Like they knew.
They knew that like this is not the environment. Like, even though the Libertarian Party didn't know that the woke thing was ending, they knew not to run on that. They
fought Chase on not just showing up with sparklers.
Look, man, I do want
to
say
they knew that the woke moment had ended, and that's why they avoided it. My point is, a woman cannot get elected president of the United States in this country.
Period.
Either way. You're fucking the glass ceiling Trump sits upon you. You're never getting out. Sorry, go ahead.
To go back to that 66 million people, though, I do think you got to give them some credit. And what I mean by that is, we said this a lot on Nephilim Death Squad. It's like right now, people are being subjected to the largest propaganda machine in the history of humankind, the most well-oiled, the most expensive, right? They're dumping endless amount of resources trying to hijack the psychology of the American people. So it goes back to remember that Project Veritas thing with James O'Keefe, where they sat down with that employee from CNN who basically explained how the president of CNN had a vendetta against Donald Trump. And you could say that that's the reason, or there's maybe more nuanced reasons to it, but it was very clear that there was so much of these media conglomerations that was dedicated, all of their resources to smearing the character of Donald Trump. And I'm not saying that those people, those NPCs, should be forgiven, but it's a monumental task in very many ways what we're up against. This is the first time in human history that we've had anything this sophisticated geared at manufacturing culture and manufacturing our opinions.
Your point's well taken, and I understand defending these people. But look, that machine has been running very aggressively for decades now. and particularly the social media machine, the censorship that we dealt with. Like, if you haven't caught on at this point, there's really no excuse. I understand what you're saying, and I'm not condemning these people. I'm not saying that they're bad people. I'm saying that they're dumb. Okay?
Yes.
You're dumb. If you haven't figured out that you're being lied to by this machine yet, you're a fucking idiot, and I can't help you anymore. Like, I don't want anything bad to happen to you. I'm just saying you shouldn't be allowed to vote. You don't know how to think critically. You haven't figured out. You can't, like, cross-reference anything ever. You don't extrapolate, like, past deceit and extrapolate it into the future. Like, what is wrong with you?
Right. Stupidity is not an excuse, right? It's like at some point, no matter how dumb they are, you got to get to that Chael Sonnen place where you're like, I can't let you get close to me. Like, you need to distance yourself from these people. I agree. It's not an excuse.
You know what I think the Republicans should do is, and I got a bunch of thoughts for the new administration, but maybe instead of trying to get rid of abortion, why don't we encourage those 66 million people to have more? Let's reverse psychology it. That as many people in this category would prefer not to breed, we will help you not breed. Maybe we can even import those Swedish, like, suicide booths and put them right next to each other and start going on the offensive and go, as many of you people as want to remove yourself from the voting pool and from influencing the rest of us with the demon energies that you bring in, if you would like to evacuate yourself or your offspring from the earth, we will help you do so. And maybe
I'm cool with that campaign, dude. We need to get ahead of that and go, no, I'm so fed up with the Trump candidacy. You know, I'm not bowing out of Twitter. I'm not leaving Twitter. I'm leaving life. And you start to create that kind of
no, but we're just be upfront with it. If you want to kill off your own offspring, we'll help you do it. We don't like it, you know, but like just reverse psychology it. Maybe you start encouraging them to go be like, fuck you, I'm keeping my kids.
I agree. I would agree with that. Like, old Top, maybe Top a couple months ago would agree, but new Top more.
And just wait till the bipolar goes the other way. Sure.
Yeah, okay, exactly.
Yeah. New Top wants them to be here so he can rub it in their faces.
No, New Top doesn't want any more child human sacrifice on the land that he lives in, because I feel like there's something
cursed.
very
the land is cursed.
Yeah, dude. Listen.
So I'm talking about in liberal areas. Expand abortion access in the liberal areas. You live in Florida, so I'm not talking about in the fine holy land of Florida.
But we live in America still. I feel like
holy land.
Do you feel connected to Mexico? It's the same landmass. Do you feel connected to Canada? It's the same landmass. Why do you have to feel connected to Connecticut?
That's a fair point.
Do you think these spiritual things have any, like, do they respect borders? Let's get real libertarian. I don't think so. Like, this is a landmass. I think they operate in.
So do you think you're forced to have negative spiritual energy because of what happens in China?
Yeah, dog. Well, no, I mean, China's a little further away.
So you don't give yourself a lot of agency.
No, I just don't think these things can swim.
Here's the thing. Yeah, they can't swim. They're black. What I think, I'm just saying, if you buy a house and someone was murdered in it, they have to disclose that information to you, and that's there for a reason. That's like a legal reason. Why? Because something happens. I don't know. We talk about politics. Well, you guys talk about politics on this, like, very tangible level. Something's happening at a spiritual level when you kill like millions of babies a year. So that just can't happen. But what should happen, if I'm a Republican, if I'm Donald Trump and I get in there, you got to play for keeps. These 66 million people, this was an IQ test. You just failed. The other 70 million who voted for Trump, now you're eligible to vote again. And from there, let's have two more parties and let's have those 70 million people.
Good luck with that one, Top.
Dude, I don't know how you do
it. Forcibly take away their right to vote.
You can't vote anymore. Like, it's irresponsible to let you vote anymore.
I mean, you're not wrong. We were talking a lot yesterday on that 10-hour stream that we were doing about how so many of the things that ail the country right now, the way towards them was paved with appeals to emotion, right? Like, that's really kind of the core of the problem, is that we figured out how to leverage particularly women, and their political views with appeals to emotion, and they haven't stopped. It's like everything you from the border and the children in the cages, all the way up to this women's reproductive rights argument. Everything is an appeal to emotion. And yeah, I mean,
hold on, wait, Robbie, what would your argument be against my argument there? Those 66 million people, if we could get their names and be like, you voted this way.
The co-host was in the middle of talking.
I know, but because he's going somewhere else. He's going somewhere else with this. This is important. This is because I see that Robbie's he's getting uncomfortable. He's like, we're going to take the agency of 60 million people away. He's like, yeah, man, we're going to take it away, and it's going to be funny. It'll be. But why wouldn't you? Like, it's like a UFC judge. If a fighter won all 5 rounds, and the UFC judge, one guy said, no, the other fighter won 5 rounds. You got to sit that guy down and say, explain yourself. Why did you do this? And if he can't, he's fired.
I'm cool with that. Let's forcibly make them explain themselves. Let's
70 million.
It's going to take a long time.
70 million Americans are basically bought off judges at this point. Yeah, I mean, look, listen, I agree they shouldn't be allowed to vote, but I'm just saying here's the pragmatic answer. As a libertarian, I don't believe in democracy, and I don't believe that you have a right to wield power over me whatsoever. I don't consent to the system. F you. But the reality is that if you strip half of the country of their capacity to vote, they will. It's the same phenomenon that happens with censorship. If you take people's ability to talk shit and complain away, well, then they are left with violence. Like that's what they're left with. Most of them will never do anything. Most of them will never say anything. They'll just deal with it. But there is a percentage that will say, "Oh, I'm not allowed to vote anymore. Well, then I only have one pathway out of this thing. I don't want to live in that country either."
I want to point out for a second that I agree with that sentiment. But in this particular instance, it just so happens that the people we're trying to take the ability to vote from also can't fight. So this kind of really works out. This
They're
kind
all
of really was a rare
up.
opportunity.
This is easy, dog. This is what I'm saying. They position themselves poorly.
It's a fun idea to say, hey, all the people that don't agree with me shouldn't be allowed to vote. I understand that. But I mean, it's moronic. You're talking about no longer. I don't agree with our voting system. I think our democracy is stupid. I think if anything, we should have. I think laws that are outside of the voting public, such as being able to run a deficit and things like that, would make sense to me. And removing some choices from the voting public of just voting for more free shit from yourself. But just the idea that, hey, I don't like these group of people, so I'm going to just remove their right to vote. I mean, it's moronic. Firstly, it's not happening. And secondly, so then where do those people get the representation? Because then what you're doing is so you've empowered. Yeah, but then what you end up happening is so then the 70 million people who now have the right to vote are able to basically, it's not like they're just going to vote libertarian and go, okay, I'm going to vote to keep more of my own shit. They're probably going to start voting to take from those 60 million people. And so you're basically just talking about like a larger political class that, has the ability to force government with wealth redistribution at the expense of those 60 million people.
I'm talking about what they were doing.
So I'm just saying it's moronic because if I was sitting here with a bunch of liberals, they would say, oh, Top and this other 70 million people shouldn't be allowed to vote. If you want to say, hey, we should break up the country so that I don't have to contend with them, that's at least, I don't know, that's more of a conversation because then both sides can be happy. They don't want to be in the group. You don't want them in the group. So why don't we just separate the group? But the idea of, hey, let's keep the group together and just have the people I like being allowed to make decisions it's a childishly moronic thing because they would feel the exact same way. And if they said it, I would go, hey, that's not fair.
Robbie, I listened when I used to listen to Part of the Problem. You guys tried to solve this issue, and literally you're describing the problem right now. This is what they are doing. They're objectifying us when they have power. They're persecuting us. I had to fucking leave my home. I had to leave my job and get the hell out of there because I'm like, these people actually might try to kill me. Why the hell wouldn't I do that to you? We are too far down this game. We're too far down this rabbit hole to play a game with these people.
Because you pretend like it's not. You pretend like it's not going to be tick for tack, and so you're saying, "Hey, why don't I bring violence into this equation and start doing it upon them?" That's not the world you want to live in. Why would you take actions towards a world and government structure that you don't want to live in?
I'm so glad that Robbie's having this debate because I've been having this debate privately with Top for a year now. So go ahead.
You can't change these people's mind. Like they're already set in where
they are.
So
should we just kill them? Should we just kill them? Should I just go across? Should we get samurai swords and start going across the country and just killing people with the different views than you?
I mean, no, but you can't.
When you're so instead, what we should do is we should enslave them, and you should be able to have the right to go, hey, I have better opinions than this individual, and so I am going to unite myself as being the higher tier person. They're the lower tier person, so they're going to be in the slave class where they don't get to vote, and I extrapolate resources from them. And why do you get? Why do you get to be in the high end group? Is it going to be like once we splinter to the 70 million people that went for Donald Trump? At what point do you then stand up and go, no, it's only the people that believe in fallen angels because the rest of these people don't really understand everything, and then you limit it to what, the 10 million people that are actually, and now you're just the new government where you get to control everybody. That's all you're saying is I want to be the new dictator if you really play it through.
All right, now please stop. Answer all those questions.
Yeah,
here's what I'd like. Great. You know what? And I'd like to be king of the universe too, where there was a castle of women that had to suck my penis and hoard gold for me. Sure. What a wise point. Clint, we're running a great and wise political podcast here, really adding some intellectual conversation to policies that would make the country better.
I love
you guys are sprinkling salt on a steak that is rotted. I'm talking about throwing this shit off the table and getting a new steak. This is you're
talking about the conversations I had in 3rd grade of, I should just be the king. Just make me the king.
Let me ask you, did that 3rd grader make a lot of good decisions leading up to that proclamation? Because if he did, maybe there's something to it.
Let me be very clear. Top, you are not throwing the steak off the table and saying, let's eat something else. You're trying the oldest thing that humans have tried. You are trying totalitarian power. Okay?
Yes.
I know. Okay. I just want you to acknowledge
that this is into volcanoes.
This is an idea that has existed for all of human existence. In fact, it has been the paradigm of which humanity has existed under for most of its existence. It doesn't go very hot. Okay?
Here's
it just
the thing,
simply
though.
doesn't.
You agreed with me when this whole thing happened with the Libertarian Party and Chase Oliver got nominated. I tell Clint, like, straight up, I'm like, hilarious. Who runs the party? Angela McArdle. There's a couple other people. I was like, this is what you do. You say, no, that didn't happen. You're out of here, and we're doing something different. I don't care if you voted for this. You voted for stupidity. We just can't have people do this. And it's like, here's the common sense thing. And this is what we're doing. Even though you guys decided this, we can't do this. And now here we are at the very end of it, and it's proven you shouldn't have done that.
Hold on,
for the sake of your party, at least.
No, that's actually not true. I think that for the sake of the country, this is actually a good example of why sometimes getting what you don't want actually ends up benefiting you.
But for the sake of your party, what you've been working at for 4, maybe 8 years, building. This happens. This guy gets in, and you go, man, everything just fell apart.
I know,
but all this work. No, just no. You could say no. I'm not doing that.
Even under the democratic process, and as flawed as it is, what did happen is we got the least votes that we've gotten in living memory, and we are going to wield more political power than we ever have. Okay? So, like, there are creative ways that don't have to do with enslaving our opposition that actually can still benefit us and amount to a more peaceful alternative world.
And I will say, you guys don't even deserve it. The way you treated Trump at the convention.
You guys don't collectivize me. I sat there respectfully.
I understand, but the Libertarian Party as a whole doesn't deserve a seat at the table because they've acted like retards, like the entire time. There's been a couple of good ones. Obviously, you, Dave Smith. It's the ones that you can name on your hand. Tom Woods. The rest of the people, it's like, what are you guys doing? You don't deserve this seat at the table. And the correct answer would have been after everyone decided that this is our nominee, you say no. That's crazy. We're going to be adults in the room. You can't do that. You can't have a gay guy and a cop represent the Libertarian Party. Now, is this fascism? Sure. Is it totalitarianism? Yes. But does it make sense? Like, how long do you want to continue to let the country go down the drains before somebody says, you just can't do this anymore? And I'm running out of solutions with you. I've tried to convince you, and we're here now.
I understand Robbie's frustration with this debate, but I think this is actually more valuable than he's giving credit, because this is a conversation that's happening a lot across the country, where people are, and on both sides of the political aisle, as Top pointed out, that the Democrats want to absolutely dominate. Like, you even had Jamie Raskin, congressional representative, that was talking about how they were going to decertify the election. You have all of the concerns over what happened with Trump and trying to decertify last time. There's a lot of desire to basically disenfranchise the political opposition. So I think
if I may, if Kamala Harris won, I would suggest she do exactly what I'm talking about right now. And I think that they would, because I think that party has some balls. I'm just saying.
That was their plan.
Yeah, that's how late we are in the game here. So, Robbie, you can call me stupid. This is childish, but this is what's happening, motherfucker. This is what they are doing, and this is where we are in the game. So
I think that's a good question, Top. Or is there ever a precedence where you're at that point in the timeline where there is no going back?
Health insurance is a nightmare. It's expensive. It's frustrating. I hate it, actually. But claim denials are becoming more and more common. In fact, 1 in 5 Obamacare claims were denied last year. That's unacceptable. The headache of health insurance is exactly why CrowdHealth was created. It's not health insurance. It's a better way to pay for healthcare through crowdfunding. So stop sending your money to big insurance companies who profit off of not paying your bills and check out CrowdHealth. For $175 for an individual or $575 for a family of 4 or more, you'll get access to a community of people who are willing to help out in the event of an emergency. You'll get access to telemedicine visits, discounted prescriptions, and so much more without doctors' networks getting in the way. And of course, you'll join the crowd, a group of members just like you who want to help pay for each other's unexpected medical events. Let CrowdHealth help with your healthcare needs. Get started today for just $99 per month for your first 3 months by going to joincrowdhealth.com/lockdown. Crowd Health is not insurance. Learn more at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com/lockdown.
Right. That's. I mean, I think there is room in the conversation for that. I understand what you're saying, Robbie. There's got to be more nuanced, diplomatic ways to deal with these sorts of things. But there is a historical precedence for crossing a line when, and I'm not saying we're there, but I'm saying maybe we'll explore that idea when the other side becomes your fucking enemy.
See, they tried to kill him twice, and they've been saying to kill him for 10 years. We've crossed the line, and there's no going back.
At first, I love how you started that with "if I may," which is a very polite way to start off with.
If I may, fuck you.
If I may, if I may, just say everyone should go fuck themselves, and I should be the dictator. But if I may, if I can just step in and say this, I mean, all right, I problem with the same way that you would like to just control the ring of power and then rule over the other side. That's what they're looking for as well. And the idea of trying to have political systems is how do we temper that? And every bad decision is always made because of the fear of other. And hey, if I don't go squash this person first, he's going to squash me. I feel like it's the Planet of the Apes movie. And it's just kind of the quintessential problem of every group of people. And the reason why they take aggressive and action in war is this idea of, oh, if I don't squash them first, they're going to come squash me. And so you're basically just saying some of the worst urges of human nature, which is I have to go rule over these other people.
Not the
because
worst
if I
urges.
don't, they're going to rule over me. And
I'm saying the most realistic urges. I'm not talking about libertarian theory anymore. I'm talking about human nature.
I understand that.
Well,
and so
is that the question then?
But if you're going to put that forward, so then what makes you think you come out in the ruling class? You're now putting forward, hey, let's just rule by might. I know that I'm not going to get represented because these other people are my enemies. So let's not try and figure out a fair system. Let's not try and figure out a representative system, or let's not try and figure out how we can take more of this out of our own hands and just put it into a constitution or laws. Instead of that, I need to be in charge because these other people, if they're in charge, they're going to take from me. And they have the same exact thought. So now you're just advocating violence. And so what makes you think you come out here? What makes you think you come out on top and not just ruled by someone else? You're just advocating
because it's my name.
Hey,
that's why I come
violence.
out on top.
Let me explain though. Every cycle that we've been alive, Robbie, you're like 30 something, right?
Yes.
Okay, so every election cycle that we've been alive, we have gone further and further down this rabbit hole towards totalitarianism. Each party has kind of devolved from this is a friendly thing. We can argue about taxes. Then all of a sudden where we're at right now. And I'm looking forward and I'm saying, in another 4 years, if there is an election, what is that going to look like with this country?
You think after 4 years of Donald Trump, we're going to be living in a more totalitarian America against your personal values and freedoms?
I think
that's your expectation?
No, I think I don't know. What I'm saying is
Isn't that what you just said?
No, what I'm saying is that
you said every election cycle, and so in 4 years it's going to be even worse. So I asked you, why under 4 years of Donald Trump do you think it's going to be a more totalitarian system with less freedoms for you? And then you ignored the question.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying in 4 years, the response to Donald Trump and what they're going to think that they need to do is become totalitarian. And if they do get their hands on the rings again, it's going to be even worse than it was before.
Hold on. To be clear,
I mean, haven't they somewhat lost their grip on power because they weren't able to fully censor the internet? I mean, why are you fully convinced that they would have more abilities in 4 years?
Are you confused right now as to why you would? You're saying why would the Democrat Party get more totalitarian every time they get power? Because they always do. Because they have, and that's what they do. These people are insane. This is what's happening, and it's just ramping up and ramping up. Every time the cycle happens, it gets more insane.
Do you feel like it ramped up over the last 4 years than over the last 2 of Donald Trump?
Yeah, I feel like things have gotten worse. Yeah.
What was worse in the last year than in the first year of Biden? What specifically would you say I had less freedom this past year than in the first year?
It's not about freedom. It's about the sentiment. It's about what they want to do.
I don't know. It sounds like you're making a very specific claim that you feel like more freedoms are stripped. And then I asked you over the last 4 years, can you point to that?
Oh, I can.
It sounded like you had a very specific trend. So what are the analytics that support your trend?
I can answer that. I mean,
wait, you want to? Why are you letting Top off? Why are you letting Top off? Let's see what his answer is.
Well, no, this is a good question. I feel like is it about Top or is it about the information?
But do I need to answer this question? Do you think things have gotten better since
I think the free
2016.
speech on the internet's gotten better. I think
Elon Musk. Now,
that's an
let me
Elon
ask you
Musk
this.
thing, yeah.
That's an Elon Musk
so
thing.
That's still a positive change.
Okay, and if Kamala Harris wins, this Twitter doesn't exist as it is right now.
But she didn't win.
But if she does.
But she didn't.
But if she does next time, if somebody does next time, what happens to that? This is what I'm saying.
Do I think that the internet's going back to where it was basically at the end of Donald Trump? Probably not. I think just the way that technology progresses, I can't envision that.
I got to play this clip. This is Elon Musk with Tucker Carlson talking about exactly this topic. So here's what he had to say.
Yeah. Well, X is, I think, the one place where you can find out the truth.
Yes.
And
the only place.
Yeah.
So how much pressure, to the extent you can say, has there been on you to shut it down or to censor it?
Well, I mean, apart from the multiple Democrats saying that I should go, they want to put me in jail, take away all government contracts from my companies, nationalize my companies, deport me as an illegal, and have me arrested because I'm apparently Putin's best friend. Nothing besides those things.
It's not getting better, dog. It's getting exponentially worse. And if they have power, they're going to do these things. And then after they're done with him, they're going to come for, well, they'll probably come for me first because of the shit that I say. Then they'll come for you, and they'll come for the people that are even safer underneath you. It's just, it is what it is.
Here's the obvious rejoinder to that point, Top, is that if you have a state, I'll grant you that, yes, the Democrats are extraordinarily dangerous, and yes, the state continues to strip more liberties, and yes, they have done so under the Biden administration. That's quite clear. Here's the problem. If you advocate on behalf of this current paradigm, you're wagering that you will end up on top. And there's no guarantee that you will.
I'm not advocating for one side or the other. I think that Donald Trump may likely be the Antichrist. What I'm saying is whoever wins here, the move is to take all the pieces. Because you can't play this game at this level again.
You see, I more look at it, you got to speak to principles. And like if you were to say, hey, I need government to relinquish control over certain things because it's too dangerous for government to have control over these. I need to put protections in that government shouldn't be allowed to spend in the way it does, or they shouldn't be allowed to have wars unless Congress actually says it, or what kind of protections are we going to put in for the internet that a new administration can't come in and try and censor it?
Oh, you mean the Bill of Rights?
Things like a Bill of Rights that protect, freedoms across the board and a conversation
regardless of who's in power. You mean rights that they can't infringe upon? Oh,
do you mean the things that we have now but they just ignore anyway? Do you see how stupid this is? All this shit is written on paper. We have all these laws, all these amendments.
Right, and so better,
it doesn't matter.
And so better is implementing more force to do what?
It's not better. It's not better. This is an IQ test again. It's not better or worse.
Hold on. Talk about IQ test. You're saying of the two options, you prefer one of the options, but you don't want to declare it to be better?
It's not better. It's pretty bad, but it's what you have to do.
But if it's necessary
he's making
and better than the other option, wouldn't you say it's better?
But it's not. It's better in my opinion, but it's not better.
Not best.
So then when I said it was the better option, the answer is yes. I don't understand why
you're like, if I give you this turd or you can chew on this bloody tampon, tell me which one is better. It's like neither is markedly so.
I made that decision yesterday. I went with the turd. I chose Trump.
Yeah, it's being framed. It's being framed as if I'm like, yes, this is like what I want. It's not what I want. I'm just saying this is what kind of has to be done here.
He's making a game theory argument of basically like a military general would. I'm arguing that the reason I voted for Trump is not so that I can conquer my enemies. I voted for Trump so that we can hopefully dismantle some of the apparatus that allows for the Democrats to make my life a living hell. And not because of Trump, but because of the people he's surrounded himself with, his orbit, if you will. I have some hope that could happen. RFK Jr. going after, CDC and FDA and HHS, Vivek going after the FBI, the CIA, Kash Patel doing the same. I think like that is the reason that I'm hopeful. I am not hopeful because Donald Trump is actually going to implement Project 2025, which he has disavowed, and conquer my enemies. I just want to dismantle this machine so that whatever Democrat does get control of it again, which they inevitably will, even though you're discounting that, I don't want them to have as much power as they did.
Top. Does trying to find your winning coalition of people to use violence to rule over the other group of people?
I just said, listen, we're gonna we have a voter roll. You voted this way, you can't. But you know what? There are alternatives. Like, so I am.
Wouldn't
white pill.
I mean, there would have to be some force to it. So at the core of it,
God, with the
if you're
force.
enforcing
Everyone's
it,
like,
there's going to be violence.
We use force. Listen, all right, let's think about it a different way. RFK Jr. white pilled on him. I don't think he's a good candidate. I don't like how he is on guns. He's a leftist. But where Trump said he's going to put him in the FDA, there's a lot of, in my opinion, the first thing he said he's going to do, you're going to get fluoride out the water. How long does it take the American people to detox from whatever fluoridization that's in their brain that's making them gay? And I'm not joking when I say this. I think there's a big component to the way people vote and the way people think and how rational they are.
I'm okay with this, by the way. I actually have a joke about this for my next hour.
Yeah,
but continue. I'm on board with this.
And by the way, dude, you're special. Great, man.
Thank you.
Fucking,
At least we can
and
agree
I
on
told
that.
you, I love you. I told you a long time ago that I'm a bigger fan of your comedy than a lot of other comedians. I think that you got like I love your cadence. Whatever.
He's throwing shit at Dave Smith. Go ahead.
No, I'm not throwing shit at Dave Smith.
I agree with you now.
It's like, yeah, let's continue.
Robbie's on board with fascism. Awesome.
No, but there is something to say about, like, if we're taking artificial dyes and what do they call them? These disruptors in
hormone disruptors.
Hormone disruptors, endocrine disruptors, fluoride out of the water. If we're not going to allow big pharma to advertise to regular people, what does that do to the general public? Does that 66 million then turn into 30 million? Maybe. Over how long? You know what I mean? Like, how long do we need to detox society actively? Maybe we should be putting ivermectin in the water and detoxing them from whatever's in their brains, whatever brain rot is going on.
I'm going to have to cut this entire segment. God damn you guys.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Can I pose a question? Because
you can't say ivermectin?
You guys, maybe, I don't know.
I don't think I could say that fluoride makes you gay either, but you said that too, so whatever.
It does, though. Facts are facts. When you you guys are all much more cued in politically than I am, so I want to pose a question to you, and I don't have a horse in the race either way, but do you think that maybe we are at this point in the political discussion where it's sort of like they're tossing a ball up and the left is feverishly trying to slap it out, but everybody else is still trying to figure out decorum and how to pass the ball to each other the most so that everybody has a fair game? And it's like, at what point does that sort of game planning fall on deaf ears when the other side is trying to, do X, Y, and Z? Are we at that point, or is there still
2016?
Room?
That's that. We were at that point at 2016, and in my opinion, the culture, the culture on the right didn't realize that they were at war, literal war with the left until maybe a couple years ago. But it's been this way for about 50.
I totally disagree with this, because I think what you're not seeing is that the people that you think are on your side aren't. That the 85-90% of the GOP is just as totalitarian and fascist as the current Democrats are. And if put into a position of power, like that they work together. Like, these people are not oppositional forces. So you're basically arguing for a totalitarian fascistic state that implements your will, and you're relying on people that would gladly see you put into a camp for the rest of your life to do so.
I'm under no illusion of what the GOP is. I'm talking more about what the conservative movement is, or the MAGA movement is. These type of people, not the people who represent them. That's insane.
But are you guys saying that we are there then? We are at that point in the discussion where one side is doing everything they can, pulling out the stops?
Both sides are.
Both sides are.
But both sides are.
Maybe the question is more
hold on.
libertarians then. Because libertarians seem to be concerned with playing a fair game.
Yes, no, you're right, and this is a problem with game theory, is that, like, if you're playing a game and you're playing by the rules and the other person is cheating, how can you possibly prevail? The answer is you can't. So you have to play a different game. That's what I'm advocating for. And the different game is alternative media space. It is actually reaching directly into the voters' hearts and minds and saying, hey, the hard-fought liberties that this country is founded upon, it's up to you to actually defend it. And you can't have people that are just running around calling themselves Republican, like Mike Johnson, as they send $200 billion to Ukraine. That is, these people are your enemy too. And I think that's the point that we need to get across. Not that these people are your allies, or that one side of the political aisle, we barely won the Electoral College, so now all of a sudden we're in a position of power and we're going to suppress and crush our enemies. That's bullshit. That you don't have that capacity, and they have no interest in implementing your will whatsoever.
That is true, but kind of to circle back to the point that we were making, where Robbie was like, well, do you think things are worse now? I'm like, yeah, they are actively worse. I think I think it's testament in the reason why Dave has his own website now, because you had to get away from where you were at before because of the political climate. And I think they were absolutely right in doing that, because if they stood with, you know, in the other space that they were at, they would have gotten them in deep shit if Kamala Harris won. And I think that's pretty clear. That entire boat would have sank instead of maybe just Dave's boat. But now you guys will be okay for the next 4 years. You'll say what you want to say, and you know, maybe things go too far right, and you guys have to be careful on that direction, because the pendulum will swing back that way pretty hard. But to say that these people wouldn't target you directly is insane, and I think it's evident in just the business
they
moves
were.
made.
They were directly targeted. Like, they wanted me excommunicated from civilization for refusing that medical treatment. Like, that's unbelievably sick and evil. That's the whole reason I voted for Trump, is because these people had to be repudiated.
My own family members wanted me dead at the time. This is what I'm saying. I'm like, so when I say like, hey, take their right to vote away or stuff like this, it's like, what am I going to use force? It's like, they were pretty close. Like, things got really, I guess people forgot how weird shit got, but things got really strange to the point I was like, the violence in the air was almost palpable. I was like, okay,
I genuinely think people are traumatized from that era, and they don't like to remember it. And I understand that instinct. Like, I don't want to remember that era either. But I think for the sake of understanding the battlefield today, it's really important that you hold on to that memory, that you understand that I think it was 30% of Democrats that wanted children taken away from their parents if they refuse to get them treatment. I mean, that is pure psychosis. But at the same time, I agree with Robbie's conclusion, though, that the answer is not then to just, you know, try and crush them ultimately. But I don't know. I do think it's important to try and keep them out of political power as best you can, which is the reason I held my nose and I voted for Trump.
Hey, Tom, I promise you this: if we end up in a gulag bunk together, I'll be the first to say you were right.
Yeah. Listen, hopefully we don't, because
I'll share my bread rations with you.
Thank you. I love you.
But that's because I'll be friends with the soup guy, so I won't even really need them. But you know, you learn how to do these things as a young Jewish lad.
I'm gonna unify us by sharing some salt highlights that Top forwarded to me.
I hate you, you fucking orange pumpkin. You just caused me one of the most important people in my life.
Is she deaf?
Donald Trump, I hate you. You will never be president again. You don't get that they voted for someone who's gonna make my friends' lives hell. My life's okay. I'm a white woman, but my friends are not you. I can't believe Trump's
Be accurate, you're a fat white lady.
I like how he's in the background.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm so pissed off! Fuck! 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 God damn it!
These titties gonna get you kicked off YouTube.
I can't believe Trump's actually gonna win this fucking thing! I'm Jesus.
I'm scared to go to sleep.
I'm scared to go to sleep.
I might wake up a motherfucking slave.
Oh, did you hear the chirp? Oh, you son of a bitch. It was top.
No, why are y'all Trump supporters? Like, why?
This is great, though. It exemplifies it. It's the moaning, it's the crying, but it's the non-specific, you're not addressing anything in particular. You're not bringing up examples. It's just, why would you?
To be clear,
bad.
I think some of those may have been fakes.
Yeah, one of them was a Boogie. Boogie is the big fat dude with the tits.
Okay, yeah, the dude ripping his shirt off. I was like, that seems fake to me. And maybe even the black lady was fake too. But let's be honest, like, there are genuinely people that feel that way.
Yes.
And I think you know, I understand Top's anger. I get it. I actually hold some of it myself.
Not anger, it's memory.
Okay. Right.
But the memory is anger.
Behavior from experience.
The memory is injury and anger, and it's totally human to feel that way. I still have, despite maybe it's not in my best interest, but I still have sympathy for these people. Not necessarily those people who I think most of them are faking, but the people that genuinely feel as if like trans people are going to be enslaved or whatever the fucking nonsense they have in their head. Like, these people are not functioning in reality, and as a consequence of that, they're extraordinarily dangerous. So I can have sympathy for them while realizing, like, yeah, it's really important that people that are totally detached from reality never possess political power. So you got to find that balance, though.
Hey,
let me ask you: do you think it would be a good starting point? And maybe this is hyperbolic, and I'm open to that idea, but this idea of repealing the 19th, which has become sort of a meme, right? But I think it's a meme because it is culturally significant, and so there should be a conversation around it, and also addressing legislatively somehow this ability to propagandize the people. You know, I don't know if the Smith-Muntz Act, Modernization Act of 2012, I don't know if that actually, there's some contention there, whether or not it did legalize the ability to propagandize the people. That's kind of, I think, maybe a sensationalist take on it. But there does seem to be some real need to implement something that restricts these multimedia conglomerations from being able to essentially hypnotize and propagandize people. And it's kind of the people in the first group, that idea of repealing the 19th.
Here's the issue. The only way you defeat that, like, your point is well taken. Maybe the Smith Modernization Act didn't actually legalize it, but if you think that they only started actually like funding news media outlets, well, then you're not familiar with Operation Mockingbird. Like, I know you guys are. So like they have been doing this illegally. So whether or not that they legalized it is irrelevant. They have been actively propagandizing us. In my opinion, you cannot use the government to beat that because we're talking about the government, which is doing that. So the only way you actually defeat that is the way basically Rogan and Elon Musk and Dave Smith and all these other people have done so, is that you just have to become so popular and create your own platforms and become so wealthy that you could actually compete with them in their own arena, in their own game, and basically nullify their power.
I really have a lot of hope for when RFK Jr. gets up there, he takes the floor out of the water and goes, "You guys aren't going to have to be gay anymore."
It's like everybody celebrates.
The days of having to suck each other's dicks, you won't have to do it. You won't have to put each other's dicks in your mouths. I'm going to cure the gays, and it'll be a better country. No more complaining.
Beautiful day. That's a beautiful day. That's right on the horizon, man. That's right on the horizon.
It is it's possible. Let me ask you this though. Like,
no, that's not possible. All right, go ahead.
It's possible.
It's possible. It's possible to cure the gay. Let me ask you this though. As somebody who didn't vote for Trump, you guys didn't. Well, you didn't vote for Trump. There's not a part of you that's like curious, or not just curious,
what
but
it would have felt like.
What it would have felt like to bubble that
like
circle.
Just, yeah.
No, the reality
this is the first politician I voted for in my lifetime that won. I'll be totally honest with you. It feels weird as hell. Like I'm in totally uncharted waters. I don't know what the fuck to do about it, to feel about it. It's weird.
The reason I voted for him is, and I don't really, I know his policies. Listen, from a libertarian standpoint, not very good. Better than the opposition, sure. So, but what I really did was I need to see the rest of this story play out. There's a story that happened from 2016 to 2020, and then we got it cut off. And there's a storyline that he needs to finish. There's things that need to happen. So the Q stuff, we need answers on that. There's the JFK thing. Yes. We need closure. America needs closure on whatever the hell he was doing.
And
that
we
was
talked
interrupted.
about this yesterday on that long-ass stream that we did, that there are issues that are along certain party lines. What do the Democrats care about? What do the Republicans? What do libertarians care about? But this is like a conspiracy theorist election cycle, because all of these issues, this is our time. There are issues on the table suddenly up for discussion, not necessarily by political pundits, but this idea of Rogan and what he went through during 2020 and the way the mainstream media treated him. He really was a pivotal component to changing the narrative on what we were going through back in 2020. I don't want to use specific language because of YouTube, but and then of course he's aligned himself, Trump, with Alex Jones in such a big way. Who is basically the mascot of conspiracy theorists. You have Elon Musk just yesterday suddenly dredging up.
Don't say it.
I'm not going to say it, but a certain conspiracy theory having to do with an Italian cuisine.
Wait a second. I would love to bring that up to Dave and Robbie, because I know that you guys would laugh us out the room if we were talking about a certain delivery. Let's say Domino Gate. Okay,
yeah.
Let's say Papa John Gate.
Papa John,
if I brought that up to you guys 2 years ago, you'd be like, "Get out of here, you stupid Puerto Rican."
Right, but what is Elon post yesterday? It's John Podesta's buddy who dismissed this conspiracy theory as just that in very much a public way, gets arrested for engaging in the nature of the conspiracy theory himself. And This is something that Elon Musk retweets yesterday. And I just think that Elon Musk has a proclivity to talk about a thing, and he sort of breaks the seal on that conversation, and then you later see that conversation to magnify and amplify, especially on Twitter. I think we're going to see the same thing with this. So it's just like this, all this subject matter that's really important to conspiracy theorists is now on the table suddenly.
Epstein,
even RFK
Diddy.
Jr. Yeah, RFK Jr. What is he talking about? The fluoride in the water.
I do really think that there's something to be said for all of the Hollywood elite that came out on behalf of Kamala Harris, despite the fact that it was a losing endeavor. Like,
investigate all of them.
No, like for real, I think these people were running for their lives. Like I used to not think that. I used to just think, well, these people are in their, their Hollywood elite, ecosystem, so they're all just true believers. I don't actually believe that anymore. I think that there's a distinct possibility. Like, there's one thing for them to, if they're asked at a press briefing for their latest movie, if they go, "Who are you voting for?" and they go, "Oh, I'm voting for Kamala." No, these people are going on the campaign trail. Okay, they're traveling thousands of miles to go out and like put their reputation on the line to try and get Kamala Harris into power. They're doing so not because they're just true believers.
Clint,
they're doing so because they need protection. I have not, no. But I wish I had been invited.
You thought you were doing cocaine, and then you wake up at 4 a.m, it was something else, and not only are you not, you're actually the person being raped. Your Hollywood fantasy was you get to the level where you thought you'd be doing the raping, only to find out you're actually on the bottom of this food chain, and it's on video.
The worst part is when you wake up and you go to run away, you're covered in so much baby oil and GHB that you just can't get traction. You're like a cartoon running in place.
You knock yourself out immediately, and then you wake up again, and you're like, no, not again.
It's another dead hooker next to you. Like, oh my God.
Different position.
You try and get up, and once again, you trip, knock yourself out, and it's another guy behind you, and it just keeps going.
That's where Diddy stands there. He goes, "It's simple, but it's a really effective method."
I don't know how you guys managed to turn that darkness into something funny, but you did it. Yeah, look, but I'm being serious. Like, I honestly think that a lot of these people, like Oprah with her John of God or whatever, like we talked about yesterday, I think that these people are doing it because they need political protection, and it's weird.
Yeah, and I bet for Oprah, it's very strange because she's on Ozempic now, and I bet she doesn't have these urges anymore.
That's actually the most upsetting part.
Dude, that's a great point.
If I have I like my Oprah to be heavy.
Yeah.
I don't like a thin Oprah. I want a heavy Oprah. Something just doesn't resonate. She loses like bass in her voice.
Robbie's point is actually really profound.
The GHP receptors, like, it turns off people's alcoholism.
Yes.
It doesn't just work for the food.
It basically makes you like addiction proof.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean,
small price to pay.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that, but we'll see. We'll see the long-term health consequences.
Can you imagine the elites just turning around and probably like, I don't really crave kids anymore. You guys too?
Are you telling me that all these Diddy parties were actually interventions and addiction therapy sessions? This is incredible.
Well, no, I matched up the drugs. GHP is the party drug. The GHB, I forget what the receptor from the.
You should have never told us that you messed it up. I would have taken that as the gospel.
There you go.
And went
where do you put this stuff though, Robbie? Like, because it went from wild conspiracy theory to, oh, that's actually happening, and now the people that we respect are talking about it, and it's like, okay, where do you put this
on this show? I don't know.
No, I'm saying like instead of, because I've seen at least Dave just dismiss it out of hand. Like, we're not talking about that. We're talking about actual political matters that matter.
I don't think that this is a topic that was outrightly dismissed on the podcast. And I think, if anything, with the Epstein story, it came more into focus.
And Dave's talked about Epstein.
Yeah. So I don't think that this is... I even think specifically on the Pizzagate one, which I never delved into.
Son of a bitch.
Dave has said that some of the emails that were collected clearly did have like some coding in them, and that it was odd the way that was brushed over. So I don't think that this is a topic that's been outright dismissed by the Part of the Problem podcast.
Well, let me say this on the topic,
and it's undeniable at this point, particularly post Epstein
and post Diddy now, right? But we're talking about this idea of what you do with your political opponents. I think the conversation changes dramatically if this conversation continues forward. And what I mean by that is it's not necessarily a bipartisan thing. It's not a party lines thing, because I'm sure there are Republicans wrapped up. It doesn't matter your political affiliation. This goes into Hollywood and things like that. But the way that more conservative people feel about the left is only going to become amplified significantly if you find out that, oh, in fact, Hillary Clinton was involved in XYZ, or Ellen DeGeneres, any of these people who espouse left-leaning ideology over the years who helped to create this culture. If we find out that those people were involved in something that dark, that's going to change the conversation dramatically. And we might actually, that's something to seriously entertain. We might be there.
I'll tell you a brilliant political strategy that I'm sure Trump wouldn't do, but this would be sheer brilliance. I always say, as a general bet on boring. And while I would love it if Donald Trump decided to go after Hillary Clinton and the other pedophiles and actually let us know what they're all doing, it would be great. I don't think he's going to do that. But you know what he should do? Day one is go, not a single child's going to be touched. And he goes on some anti-pedophilia campaign of that he's getting rid of that from the United States of America. And then what you do is you actually divert all the resources that was January 6th or whatever else, and you have the FBI just start going after people. And listen, there's some extent of pedophilia that exists in this country that has nothing to do with the elites, and there's some amount of people that you could be putting together and putting into jail. None of us actually have the numbers on what the current level of pedophiles are in this country, so it's a very easy metric to claim that you got to zero. No, but you see what I'm saying is because it's been such an untold story, the levels could right now could be
was like, we got rid of all the pedophiles.
You could say that you like, in other words, even if you just took down 1, 2, 25, 35, 50 people a year, if it's something that we didn't currently focus on and you just got a lot of resources at the FBI to focus on, you could every single year go, look at how many people we busted and I've gotten this level to zero because we don't actually have the numbers on it.
Not only is that politically smart, but I think that just sending that chill through these organizations that are responsible for that would be hugely beneficial because then they would actually be scared about what they're doing. As of now, here's the problem, is that the reason that they've gotten away with this for so long at the highest levels of it is because they've been doing it for the intelligence agencies. I think the primary reason that Donald Trump's been had attempts on his life multiple times is because the intelligence agencies don't want him in power. So will he triple down? Because he's already doubled down. Will he triple down as he gets back into the White House and say, I'm not going to try and play ball with you guys. I'm going to try and destroy you? Because JFK tried to do that, and he doesn't exist anymore.
I think behind closed doors, Donald Trump's a play ball guy, and he's probably
I think so too.
Cut some of the necessary deals. All right, guys, go check out my comedy special. It's live from the Denver Comedy Garage, not an actual place. Top Lobster for Dictator. He has my full endorsement. And I don't know if you guys are doing more episode because I just decided I was done.
Okay. Thank you for joining us, Robbie.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. I always love coming on. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Later, man.
All right. Yep, no normies here. Sorry, Robbie. Get out of here. I don't know. I feel like it's a fair question to ask these guys. Like, what do you?
I think it's gone. That's the thing, right? Is it's like it's gone past just the political ramifications and the economic ramifications. I'm talking about Biden's administration, and it's eked into this bigger cultural conspiracy picture that I think, like, as much as we go, people are tired of not being able to afford groceries and gas and things of that nature. People are also tired of people drinking babies. And I know it's a joke, right? It's a joke, but I think that actually resonates with a lot more of the population. And you'd be like, remember when we did Bohemian Grove and Thomas the Paranoid American was bringing up statistics on how many people during like 2020, I think it was, believed in, I don't want to say the conspiracy, but like.
Just say the gate.
The Anon situation, right?
Yeah.
And it was very little. It was like 20-something% of people were like, yeah, that resonates with me. But still, when the topic was shifted and they were asked how many people believe that the elites in this country are involved with some level of child trafficking ring, that was in the 40%, which is a wild time because it was nearly half the country. So when I say, like, it's a joke to say they're tired of these people drinking the babies, at one point, almost half the country suspected that they were. And I don't think that just goes away. So there's still this massive underbelly of a conversation that's yet to be had and yet to be satisfied. Yeah,
it's higher now than 40%. I honestly think that it's probably the majority of the country that is aware, thanks to the Epstein case, that this is a real issue. And I think that obviously it would be a huge benefit to humanity if Trump were to actually take that on. Let me reiterate, I don't think he will, because I think that his life will be taken. Like I'm just being totally honest with you guys. Like. Now, if there is anything that is worth risking your life to do, it would be to stop child trafficking. Like that is right up there with the holiest of causes I can possibly imagine.
It's kind of my number one issue.
Yeah, and he's 80 years old almost, so it's like, take your swing, dude. Like, go for it. Do I think he will? Probably not. But like, there's a chance. There's a real chance. So I'm hopeful. We'll see.
I've gotten to the point where I do think that the child trafficking and the human sacrifice is the main component to why we're here today, why we're talking about the evil things that people do, and just like the stupidity in government. It's like, why are we trillions and trillions of dollars in debt? It's like, well, I think personally that you're feeding demons and fallen angels with the blood of the innocent. And I think if you just cut that down and stop that, the backlash would be incredible, because all these black ops programs will probably try to kill you, but that's the way you do it. You can't fight the Leviathan if you're continuing to feed it. You've got to cut it off.
This is why this actually goes back to my earlier point about why I'm most interested not in wielding political power, even though that is important, but into actually reaching people's hearts and minds. From Donald Trump's position of authority as this kind of deified figure amongst the MAGA base, he can actually fight a battle that one man can't win because he's up against the machine. And he can actually prevail because he can actually like convey this message in a way that's so compelling that you actually have so many tens of millions of people that are actually, screaming his name saying, "Go Trump, go," that the machine may actually go, we can't stop him because they're coming too, Sure. they're right behind him. And I think that's the power that Trump, possesses. Will he wield it for the highest of goods? That's a TBD that I'm less hopeful on.
That's what I've always.
Go ahead, Top.
I've told like my parents and all that, like they're like, oh well, Trump didn't do any of that stuff. He didn't build a wall. He had less deportations than Obama. And I was like, it's about the rhetoric. He said that we're going to build a wall. Like the rhetoric was strong against illegal immigration, so there wasn't as much illegal immigration. When Biden said, hey, we're wide open, they just come right through. So yeah, the message is super important. But then it's like back to that point that I was kind of bringing up to Robbie, where you think they're going to continue to let you put this message out. If they regained power, and they still have 3 months, which is should be nerve-wracking for everybody. What are they going to do? They're not just going to give this thing up. And in response, what will you do? You cannot have. I don't think you can have a situation where they can gain power again. I don't know. I'm childish, I guess.
No, I understand both sides of this pretty well.
I understand his side as well. I do understand. No, I know. Obviously, it can go off the rails, but it's like, well, what other situation are we given here?
Yeah,
right?
No,
choices.
It's prisoner's dilemma almost. Like it's really tough. But I still think that the answer is to try and defang the machine. It's not to become it. And I think that Trump, because of his orbit, gives us an opportunity to do so. That's the reason that I'm optimistic. That's the reason I voted for the guy, is that like that's the only peaceful path out of here, because I take your warnings and your concerns seriously, and I share most of them. That these people, like Robbie was kind of downplaying it, in my opinion. Like, did it actually get worse under Biden? Like, fuck yeah, it did. It got a lot worse, okay?
As I said, and I'll make the point again, I know for a fact that the reason they are on partoftheproblem.com is because they were terrified of the response if the Democrats won. They were shitting their pants, and they also don't know what's going on politically. They're not paying attention. Or they are, but I don't know, to the wrong things. So they had to make moves to get away from this, and they made the right preemptive moves. But Trump just happened to win, and I think that they'll be okay.
He said that a good indicator that things hadn't gotten worse is Elon Musk taking over Twitter, but I swear that's the only indicator, and it's an anomaly for that reason. It's an outlying kind of a situation. Like, everything pretty much got worse in the past 4 years. We did have this strange moment where Elon Musk comes out of left field and takes over probably the biggest cultural manufacturing machine that we have in the form of Twitter, because it's, social media, I think at this point, is just a cultural manufacturing machine. It's just something that the intelligence agencies use to sway opinion. He takes over the largest one. That's anomalous. That's the only thing that you could really point to as far as foreign affairs and things happening on the the larger scale, like wars and things of that nature, and our involvement in them, or our economic situation, or our cultural decay situation. Any of these things have all fallen over the past 4 years. I just thought it was strange because I agree with him in the sense that it's a win for free speech.
It's a frustrating thing. I love Dave. I love Robbie. The reason why I'm here is because of these guys. But I'm just like watching them. I'm like, oh my God. Like, how could you be so up close to this thing at such a level and still miss that main part? I think, and honestly, I think that they don't miss it. They're playing a game where they are playing this, like they're playing around the edges and they're trying to defang. So they have to do this constantly.
Well, if we were to steelman
get to the point.
If we were to steelman it and you were to say, no, things haven't become worse over the past 4 years. There's Elon and that situation. What other things might you?
I was stunned when he said that because I'm like, he's like, no, I want Top to answer, and I'm just like I'm thinking of all of these examples, and I was like,
because it seems glaringly obvious. It seems like on its face, and I'm not trying to say this to be insulting. On its face, it seems like a ridiculous question. Where have you been for the past 4 years is my initial response. But to try and steelman it, I'm still.
I think to steelman it, the only argument to be had is that because of Elon and because of X, it put pressure on the other social media to allow us to speak more freely. But let's take it out of our particular niche realm and let's just talk about more broadly whether or not we're more free. Well, if you're one of the 1,000+ J6 prisoners, no, you're not. You're absolutely not. If you're the people that were almost caught up in the Whitmer hoax, yeah. Probably not. You're not feeling much better, are you? So like they got real dark. I mean, they like the current establishment became an existential threat. Like they really did. Right. And by the skin of our teeth, with the most hodgepodge amalgamation of all of the dissident movements in this country, we barely defeated them. Like barely. And now our hope is riding on Donald Trump, a guy who got completely rolled by them in 2020. So it's like, this is not a guaranteed W moving forward, but I just think like this was triage. We had to stop the bleed. We stopped it briefly. Can we now, get the patient healthy? I don't know, but it gives us a chance.
Well,
it is triage.
I'd like to
That's a great word.
I'd like to give my predictions then, because I feel like it's an appropriate thing. We're towards the end of this, I'd imagine. And so all of my, just for the audience listening, I'm a professional conspiracy theorist. Everything that I draw from is completely disjointed and schizophrenic. That being said, I believed as soon as he was out of office the first time that he would definitively be in. These are things that I get a badge on my shirt for having told my wife for the past 4 years. He's definitely coming back because his story's not finished. And so I was able to say, I told you this morning. I also was on the right side of things when it came to...
It's the hero's journey. I think people need to really understand this. Like, this is the hero's journey. Yeah, the hero has to have an unexpected rise, a fall, and then a reascension.
Exactly. It's the art of the
It's incredible.
Well, hold on. Can I just finish this thought real quick? Because basically what I anticipate happening is I'm going to deviate from Clint here, and I'm going to say if I was a betting man, I'd be all in on the idea that all of this Anon stuff having to do with Italian food gate, that's going to come to the surface. He's going to be directly involved with bringing that to light. There's a lot more wins, in my opinion, that are coming. And this is totally from a conspiracy theorist point of view. Take it with a grain of salt. He's got a lot more wins that are coming. And by the end of this, it's going to be so glaringly obvious that he's our guy. And I suspect deeply that he's the Antichrist. Like him a lot. It's going to be so clear that he's our guy for reasons that the average person who's not cued into conspiracy wouldn't be able to predict. So I think we're yet to see the end of the Trump vindication train. It's going to continue going, and I think it's going to involve things like these conspiracies that we just alluded to, and more. So it's not over. I think
with those, with that vindication,
thoughts.
Yeah, with that vindication, he'll probably be able to do exactly what he'll have the sentiment to do exactly what I suggested, where, they were like, well, how would you even go about doing that? I don't know. But should he? Yes. But I think he will have the popular consensus to do that if this stuff is revealed. But again, like, just to bring back that home, like the home point, I don't know how you could not vote for this guy, understanding the hero's journey that he's been on, and not be curious about where this story ends. It's a story. It's written. I mean, like it plays like a movie. The guys get shot. And it has to. The story has to be told. It has to end. It's going to be good for us. We're going to have time to do whatever we need to do. And I have a feeling towards maybe the end 2 years, kind of like his first presidential cycle, where it's not going to be so great for us. I feel like towards the end, things will get sour, but towards the beginning, there's going to be a big wave, and we need to ride that as hard as we can. Get positioned wherever we're going to be positioned in the first 2 years, and then buckle down, baby, because it's going to get weird.
I suspect we're going to have a nice 3.5-year stretch.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I don't know. I don't know for sure that we'll have 3.5 years, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that at least we get a 2-year reprieve from the madness in which we can kind of like repair and rebuild some things. We'll see. I'm very nervous. I'm not nearly as optimistic as you guys, but that is also kind of in my nature to be pessimistic. But I also think I'm being realistic that they did everything in their power, including on spying on this guy before he was even the president. This was 2015, using the FBI and lying to the FISA court to do so. And then they impeached him multiple times on nonsense and stuff that they were in fact guilty of themselves, the constant projection nonsense that they do. I find it hard to believe that they're going to stop. And if they do stop, then that means that Trump is probably sold out. That's what makes me really nervous. But I don't know. It's the most interesting time to be analyzing this stuff, and it's also, I guess, in a way, the most interesting time to be living through it. But it's also scary. So we'll see. We'll see how things work out. Anyways, go ahead and tell people where they can follow your work, your shows, everything.
You can find me on Twitter at David L. Corbo, all one word. That's CORBO. Follow us on Rumble at Nephilim Death Squad. Also keep an eye out for Timeline Cleanse. It's my daily morning show. It's a comedy show based off of just watching horrific videos and hanging with the homies. So check out Timeline Cleanse. Check out Nephilim Death Squad wherever you listen to your podcast.
TopLobster.com. Follow me at TopLobster on Twitter, Instagram. That's growing, and yeah, that's about it. But check us out on Nephilim Death Squad. And tonight, Tower Gang.
That's
have
right.
a lot of fun. I don't know what we'll talk about.
And by the way, the shirt he's rocking right now, the ESG shirt, that is a Liberty Lockdown shirt. So if you haven't got one yet, go to TopLobster.com.
We actually have a new shirt for you here. It's just like it's a polo embroidered with your logo on it. So it's kind of like
dope.
Yeah, people can wear that out or wherever, and it comes out super clean, very nice stuff. And
it looks great
on the site.
And because it looks great, people go, "Oh, I like that shirt. What is that?" And you go, "Oh, that's a podcast that I like." And then you get to, totally red pill these people. So that's always fun. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please do hit the like button, subscribe, share it around. And if we got anything wrong, which we definitely did, YouTube, we got so much wrong. Almost everything we said was wrong. Let me just make that preface. And it was all in good jest, and it was
strictly
wrong.
Comedy.
It was wrong and funny. So don't strike me. Anyways, leave a comment down below. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.
Welcome to Liberty Lockdown. Please scan your barcode. Your liberty ain't gone, but yeah, it's on hold. Where did it come from and where did it go?